Hey everybody, it's the GameHounds podcast with Nick and Edie. Nick Giannicola, Edie Sellers. We are here.
Hey.
We're talking about stuff, and I was saying that.
Are those your notes?
What?
The papers?
No, when I do my neighborhood radio show, because I go to music and then I go to news and I do some music and I do some news. I keep forgetting to punch in on Spreaker, so I write little notes to myself to punch in. I originally put it here, but I still wasn't reading it, so now I tape it to the screen over the volume button. So it's like it's right there on the volume button. I can't see the volume button behind it, so it forces me to take it off and put it here. When I'm not.
I've done that thinking, okay, where do I look? And that's where I need to put the note.
Right. So I know that I've got to go to the volume, and if I go to the volume and I see that, it's like, oh yeah, I got to punch in. Because when I first started, I wasn't punching in at all. And I've once done it where I've talked an entire break for 8 minutes and hadn't punched in. Fortunately, I have a chat room now, so it tends to let me know.
Yeah.
Hey everybody in the chat room. We got Eric Baker, who wins the YouTube chat room.
So what were you saying before?
Oh,
we were talking about
a television series that I have discovered.
I'm trying to guess what it is.
Is possibly the greatest television. I mean, I'm not joking. The greatest television series I've ever seen.
2.5
Hands
minutes.
down, speaks to me. It is perfect. It is everything for me. Like
2.5
someone
men.
read my soul and then decided what television series would this person want, and wrote it.
NCIS?
No. It is not. It's not
NCIS LA, Law and Order SVU?
No, not Law and Order SVU, not NCIS. Oh, yeah. Not NCIS, no.
What else comes on CBS?
It is not major networks. I mean, I should say it's a major network, but it's cable-based.
Okay.
It's amazing. It is... Oh. Every show, I walk away with like, oh my God, I love this show! Every episode.
What channel is it on? Is it British?
No.
Okay. Is it on FX?
No.
Oh, okay. Shit. That significantly limits my knowledge of shows. Is it on AMC?
Yes.
Okay. Oh shit. What's an AMC show?
Hey, girl. I'm assuming girl. If not, still.
What is on AMC? I know you've already seen *Halt and Catch Fire*, so it can't be that.
No, it's not *Halt and Catch Fire*.
What did they put out that's new? I don't even remember.
Show. Put it this way. It's a show I hadn't even heard of, and I happened to go check, see if the latest episode of Killing Eve was on.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't. And then I saw this, and I'm like, it looks. And I had no other show to watch.
Mad Men?
We'd finished up everything. No, we'd finished up everything, and it's like, what? I never heard of this. This sounds kind of interesting. This looks new and interesting.
Rubicon?
No. And
Better Call Saul.
The minute I started,
The Terror?
I was like, holy shit, this is. And the first episode, Kevin and I
Dispatches from Elsewhere.
Yes.
Okay, Dispatches from Elsewhere?
Dispatches from Elsewhere is I don't care what you're watching, stop watching it and watch that show. I believe I've not heard of it before. It is.
Yeah, that's
brilliant.
That's like the guy kind of gets caught up in this alternate reality game that's kind of surreal, right?
It's not an alternate reality game. It's a reality game. It is. It's one of those things that the more I watch it, it's like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And then you catch out of the corner of your eye that it says based on a documentary. And I'm like, whoa, back that up. Based on a documentary. So it's based on a documentary about something called the Institute, which
I
was in
think
San
I've
Francisco.
seen that documentary.
Oh yeah, it was essentially like a game, like a scavenger
Yeah,
hunt
yeah,
kind of
but it
game.
kind of escalated.
Yes, it was big. It was huge. And this show is don't. I'm actually glad I hadn't heard about the show and I hadn't heard about the documentary, because if I had, it might have kind of wrecked the magic a little bit. This is such a good series.
Hmm.
Breaks the fourth wall constantly. Well, not constantly. Breaks the fourth wall a lot. Absolutely throws every convention of narrative and storytelling on its head. Um, funny, especially the first couple of episodes. Hilarious in that night shift way. Oh, and then the story becomes utterly compelling. The characters are totally endearing, and it's so good. You must watch. Must watch. Stop what you're doing.
Okay.
Watch the show.
I've been interested in that one, but that one just doesn't have an easy streaming option. Well,
The
is it
AMC
on is it
app.
on Hulu?
I don't know if it's on Hulu. I'm watching it on my
Okay.
Samsung TV through the AMC app.
Okay, yeah, I don't have that. Um but
Wait, do you have cable?
my dad does.
Oh.
I mean, that's how I get HBO Go.
Okay, then yeah, if you can get HBO Go, go get the AMC app and set it up exactly the same way. You just have to say,
Okay.
whatever your cable provider is, and then you can watch it. I'm not gonna lie, at least on a Samsung television, the AMC app is crap. Oh my god, it runs poorly. It's
Hmm.
unbelievably badly written. Who else has a really bad app? NBC has a horrible app. I mean, it's full of features and pictures and stuff. It
Yeah.
looks pretty, but it's logy.
Oh,
It's got some kind of bad
AC Wraith
code in
said
it.
it's on the show that it's on, the show's on the link he just did, which is the AMC link. So it seems like it's available on the website
Good,
too.
good. Yeah, I would be really surprised if they buried it deeply, because I don't think they spent a lot of money on it, which is even better. Um, but it's not gotten the attention clearly that I think it deserves. So I think that
I've
they've
heard it and the Amazon one always mentioned in the same breath. Tales from the Loop.
mm-hmm. Tales from the Loop is way more big budget. It's I'm not gonna lie. Uh,
I've
I
heard it
think that
described as
they're
an
being talked together because, one, they were released at about the same time, and they
and that
have
could very easily
similar
be.
naming conventions.
Um,
That's a little, like there may be some similarities in that there are little vignettes, but they're not like Tales from the Loop are self-sufficient stories that
yeah,
you
it's like
could
an
watch.
anthology.
Right, you could watch one episode at any point and it would make sense. In this case, it is at least the first actually 5 episodes, are not a vignette. It is kind of different parts of a story, or I should say it's one story being told, and it is a linear story, but it is kind of being told at different points of that linearness,
Because I've heard
having a
that the
different
first
person being a focus of it.
yeah I've heard the first several episodes are like told from different characters' points of view.
Told from different characters' points of view. Absolutely. And again, I love that because, you tell somebody, hey, just as an example, hey, I'm going to disable the bomb. You go evacuate everybody in the building. Did not happen in the show, but this is an example of what you would frequently see in a show. Go evacuate everybody in the building and call 911. And then it focuses on the guy doing the bomb. And in this show, it would have that story And then the next episode might back up a little bit and be told from the guy who calls 911 and evacuates the building and all of the things he has to go through. So that, 10 minutes into the episode, when they come back together again, you have a better sense of both things that had happened. It wasn't like somebody was a secondary character to you. So
Mhm.
that you could go, oh, okay, so that's why you're saying this. That's why you're saying you have to stop disabling the bomb. Because when the guy went out to evacuate people, that he encountered the terrorists, and they said that you were supposed to disable the bomb, and that's going to cause it to explode. So yeah, that kind of stuff where you're getting like the two points of view, and you have the big picture sense of what's going on, and yet you don't in this show because you don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
It's the kind of show that I love. Well, I love the breaking of the fourth wall because it puts me on the team. It doesn't make me a silent observer of fact. It makes me a co-conspirator in the storytelling, and I love breaking the fourth walls because
Do they do it like the Talking Heads, like The Office, like a fake documentary,
no, not
or
at
is it
all.
more like uh uh what's the movie, The Big Short, the one with
Yes.
cutaways to celebrities explaining financial things?
No, no. I should watch that. No, I
That
have
that's a
never.
very good movie that will make you hate America.
Just what I need right now. Um, no, it's more of like a narrator.
Oh, okay.
It's more like Lemony Snicket than it is like Tales from the Loop.
Okay. Oh shit! I still gotta see the third season of that.
It's
That came
really
out a
good.
while ago.
It's really, really good. Yes, Lemony Snicket. Think of
Okay.
Snicket, but not in a fantasy universe
Yeah.
in Philadelphia.
Okay. Hey. Get,
So yeah, Racy Ray says the first episode does not require a login. You will be hooked in one episode. This is not a show that needs to warm up.
yeah, I figured from what I
Not
heard
at all.
about it.
If you took, especially the first episode, you've seen Night Shift, right? The movie about
No.
the guy in New York that spends all night awake in New York on this adventure that kind of just keeps going and going and going, and all he wants to do is go home.
Mm-mm. I like the
You,
sound of it though.
it's a classic. You have to. Okay, go watch Night Shift and then watch Dispatches from
Okay.
Elsewhere. It is a classic. Oh, who wrote it?
Night Shift movie. And as you can tell, I'm able to now Google uh
Good.
without crashing the Spreaker
What
because
happened?
I got the wired connection working again.
Oh, good.
Is this the 1982 one
Yes.
with
Who's
Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton?
Henry Winkler, Mark Keaton, and who's a director? It's a
Oh,
very famous
Ron
director.
Howard.
Was it a Ron Howard movie?
Yeah,
Yeah. Was it?
yeah. I'm on IMDb.
Okay, I take your word for it.
Hmm.
Yeah, Night Shift.
Okay.
Night Shift was a seminal work of the 80s and in many ways defined a ton of genres after that. And it is the story of a guy who goes on a date, goes on a blind date, and it goes miserably. And all he wants to do is go home. All he wants to do is go home. And he can't get home because shit keeps happening to him because it's fucking New York. And that's what happens in New York. And it is one of
Okay. I
those
think I.
great comedy kind of just a great story. Thriller comedy. Not thriller like there's no gory. Well, there is death and stuff, but it's not. Yeah, that's not the
Okay.
purpose. It's not supposed to be suspenseful. But yeah, if you took Night Shift and you mixed it with Lemony Snicket, that's what the first episode is.
Okay.
And Eric Spaker says it looks like another week without Gully. Yeah, it is another week without Gully. Gully is we were just talking about that before the show. A YouTubing fool right now. He is YouTubing about 4 hours a day, anywhere between 2 and 4 hours a day on his Digital to Dice podcast on YouTube. And then I think he also just does random logins on his show and just talks solo. So yeah, I mean, if you are interested, you can check it out, Digital to Dice podcast or the Ratcast show, I think, on YouTube. But yeah. Corey Wallace says, "Welcome to TV Hounds episode 1." No. See, I didn't want to talk about. Nick is the one. Blame Nick. He was the one that coaxed me into talking about it when I needed to save it because we haven't started the audio show. Fucker.
Well, then before you do, I just have to say I started watching Black Sails, which I keep wanting to call Black Flag, but that's not it. Just a pirate show from Stars. Just a good show. Just like a
Could
good.
You stop? Could you stop fucking doing the show?
Good,
stop.
Pulpy adventure.
Stop doing the show, Nick. I haven't started it. Are you controlled? Can you control yourself? Okay.
So it's
I'm going to start the show without you. Stop. I need to log in to the audio show so that we can do this, Nick. I cannot have you do the show before you made me do it. And we have to hold it.
You got to punch in.
I have to sign in. All right, we are signed in. All right, today is GameHounds. What's the episode of 543? And it is May 3rd. All right, mics are hot.
So what makes Black Sails great is that it's
hello
the kind of show
and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode. Gosh darn it, Nick! I'm muting you. I'm muting you.
I don't know how.
You're muted. You are muted. You're muted. You're muted. Thank you for listening to GameHounds. This is GameHounds episode 543. We are recording this on May 3rd, 2020. I'm Edie Sellers, and with me is Nick DiNicola, but he won't shut up because he's insisting on talking about a television show. He wants to do the show before we actually have the show. So I'm not going to let him until I'm ready. Okay, Nick. Go ahead and talk about the show. Go ahead and talk about the television. Huh?
I've said all I need to.
Yeah, exactly. I knew you were going to do that.
No, it is a good show, though. It's just a good
show.
Black Sails.
Black Sails.
From Stars. I'm actually watching on Blu-ray because I got the complete series years ago.
Right.
But it's just good pulpy adventure. Like I said, establishes stakes so high in the first season that I can't believe it lasted for 4.
Oh, really?
It's like you're watching it going, Jesus Christ, half of this cast has to die by the end of the first season because they're all politicking behind each other's back and betraying each other. Motherfucker, how is this going to last? And so, yeah, it's a good, fun watch.
Yeah, we got into the conversation because Nick, very early on in the show, I had said that I watched a television series that was the greatest series I have ever watched.
And I
Like
tried to guess what
someone,
it was.
like someone had read my soul and made a television series for me specifically with everything that I love.
Yeah, Andy knows.
And Andy says, Black Sails is awesome, he says in the chat room. Nick started to guess and finally guessed it and then made me talk about it. And I am going to unequivocally recommend every single person stop exactly what you're doing right now. Stop binge watching anything and watch Dispatches from Elsewhere on AMC. And it's on the AMC app. And according to AC Ray, the first episode is available on AMC.com. It is, yeah, we had a really long conversation about it. It is, think,
It's just a good show.
Night
Basically what you're
Shift.
saying.
Night Shift meets Lemony Snicket. It breaks the fourth wall. It's got wonderful whimsy, and yet there is this interesting story going on that you're not exactly sure if it's entirely like okay or not okay. Kind of like Lemony Snicket in that way. That there's kind of like this kind of sinister undertone going on. Takes so much storytelling conventions and just throws them out the window and actually throws them. Actually, it's the kind of breaking of the third wall that it's like, okay, here's this storytelling convention. This is usually what happens in shows. We're going to take this and we're going to throw it out the window and show you how we're throwing it out the window. We are going to actually intentionally and very obviously throw it out the window and like describe exactly why we're doing that. We're not going to do it that way because we're different. Just
that kind of
so
sounds like
good.
a scene from The Big Short.
Maybe a little bit.
There's a scene where like two characters. I can totally hear me in your headphones.
Okay.
Where like two characters find like a document on the table in like the middle of a hotel lobby, and the scene cuts away to be like, that's not what actually happened in reality, but we're just doing it here because it makes sense for the movie. So just don't get
Right.
all upset about it. Bear with us.
Right. Right. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to wreck it. In the first 20 seconds of Dispatches from Elsewhere, he says, I could go, this is this character. And I could spend 20 minutes showing you who this character is. But I'm going to give you 20 minutes of your life back, and I'm just going to do this. And then you kind of get an idea of who he is in a very short period of time.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, funny. The first episode is so Night Shift laugh out loud funny. Like absurd city stuff that make you just laugh your ass off. And what's really funny is that I have since found out, and I've actually stopped reading the Wikipedia page of the actual the institute which was the one that this is based on. It's actually based on a real thing that happened, and I actually had to stop reading the Wikipedia page because I'm afraid it's going to wreck the show. But the things that in that first episode that are so fucking hilarious actually are direct lifts of what the Institute really did, which makes it even funnier. It's the kind of episode that by about episode 4, I looked at Kevin and said, because it's filmed in Philadelphia, I looked at Kevin and said, we need to move to Philadelphia. If Philadelphia is the kind of place where this might happen, we need to move there. And then I found out later that the Institute was actually in San Francisco. So it was like, well, of course it is. Yeah, because it speaks to me. So yeah, the Dispatches from Elsewhere. Must watch.
Okay, I'll check that out.
So good.
Because if I can get that AMC app, then I can check it out. Is it all out yet? Is it done?
Yes, it's all out.
Okay, that's cool.
As far as I know, I think yes. No, I recall they say full season is available. I think they actually dumped the full season because it's not really a big. It's not Killing Eve. It's not big
No.
headline making series of theirs.
AC Wraith. It's a movie. It came out in 1982. Look
What?
for Night Shift movie.
Yeah.
It's not a show. Um. Yeah. Okay.
Rosanna
Oh,
Arquette, I want to say, was in it, or Patricia. No, it wasn't Patricia. It was
I
Rosanna
don't know. I could look again, but
early on, or was it Madonna? I can't remember. No, that one. I'm thinking something else. But I think it was Rosanna Arquette was in it. So games. Welcome to GameHounds.
yeah,
We're no
yeah.
longer TV hounds. GameHounds. So I've been playing more that thing.
Very,
Death
very
Stranding.
memorable game.
Yes, I know. Death Stranding. It is really, really starting to grow on me.
Ah,
I have gotten to the point
Hmm.
where I have met the junk dealer and
yes.
delivered
Fucking
the
junk dealer,
package.
way out in the middle of nowhere, past the fucking camp of mules.
Yeah.
Asshole junk dealer.
Like gigantic camp of mules. Two gigantic areas of
Eventually,
ETs.
eventually you'll
And
be
he
able to.
decides this looks like a good place to settle down.
Eventually, when I got that place online, someone had made a bridge that basically went over all the rocks that are outside his place, so that I could just like drive a car, and like land right at his front door. And I was like, "Oh, this is great!
Wait,
Thank you."
he built a whole
A
bridge
bridge,
over that whole rocky area?
yeah, at least most of it. And I was
Wow,
like, "Oh,
okay.
this is nice. This is just a well-placed bridge.
Yeah.
Thank you, random person."
Yeah, I there was a bridge across the chasm in the middle of mule territory, but I mean, for me, mule territory, I just
Oh
carry
wait,
two bola guns and just shoot everything.
AC Wraith says Night Shift is a movie about a brothel in a morgue, not a bad date that never ends.
No, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right.
Are you
It
thinking of
is
that Bruce Willis movie?
no, 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 no. Shit, what's not night shift? It's gosh darn it. Nick, talk about something. It is the movie
Okay. Well, hmm,
1980s
okay.
movie about
I've been watching a lot of TV because I have also been playing a lot of that Final Fantasy Brave Exvius still. And that's a very easy thing to play while
After
watching TV.
Hours. After Hours. Sorry, not night shift. After Hours.
Okay.
Martin, that I knew when you say Ron Howard, I'm like, really? That doesn't sound right. Right. It was a Martin Scorsese. After
Huh.
Hours. Thank you for straightening that out. Dispatch from Elsewhere is After Hours meets Lemony Snicket, and it's directed by Martin Scorsese, and it's starring Rosanna Arquette, Verna Bloom, Tommy Chong, Griffin Dunn, Linda Florentino, Terry Garr, Cheech and Cheech and Chong show up. Catherine O'Hara shows up in it. It's very much a vignette, not to say vignette movie, but like lots of cameos. Lots and lots of cameos.
Oh, I think that's on Amazon Prime. That makes life way easier.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, no, I have to rent it. Never mind.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, it's also included with Cinemax. Ironically, so is Night Shift. Cinemax, the place for movies that take place at night.
Yeah, night shift is about a guy who goes on a blind date and then everything goes wrong. Not just the date. He meets this very interesting girl and things just end up happening to him and he's out all night. He's very mild mannered data entry guy, and then shit starts happening to him, and the movie ends with him walking into work the next day, and it's everything that happened in the 12 hours that he was away from work. Skinamax, as he calls it, as Corey Wallace calls it. So yeah. Anyway. What were we talking
Death
about?
Stranding and
Oh, Death
Bridges.
Stranding. Yeah. Death Stranding. I have gotten to the bridges. I've got a bridge over the chasm in mule territory, but at this point, I'm not even. I don't even. I mean, I fucking hate mules, but at the same time, I just have two bullet guns with me at all times, and just like John Rambo it all the way through. Ah! And then I get a little letter that says,
They're
"Hey,
great.
you got rid of all the mules."
Yeah, like if you do it enough, you can actually empty the camp
I do.
for a
It's exactly
good.
what I do. Every time I do it, it's
Yeah.
like when I start it and I come into mule territory, I fucking empty the entire zone so that way I know that I'm clear for a few hours for being able
One
to play.
one random trophy that I got.
Uh huh.
Have you seen the other delivery guys out in the world?
Yes, the porters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, if they are heading into a mule camp and you take out that mule camp, there's a trophy for clearing that path for them
Oh,
that I got entirely by accident.
okay. All right, I will. I will
It's
do
like,
that.
hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm definitely getting into the story. I'm definitely getting into um the I'm understanding the story more a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, it's Kojima. The
Don't
story is
worry,
going to be
you'll
dense and weird, and
you'll get very
with
the beginning's very confusing, and then like at the
yes.
halfway point, you start getting like, okay, I know what he's trying to say, I understand this world, and then by the end, it kind of goes off the rails again.
Mm-hmm.
But still remains fun to play, I think.
Yeah. And I'm definitely enjoying uh, I'm enjoying the walkthrough part, the walking simulator part of it. I'm
Hmm.
doing more walking just because it's necessary. Whenever I can use a vehicle, I fucking use a vehicle.
Hmm.
One thing that I really fucking hate about um, this game is that you will frequently get like, oh, you now have plans for this. And guess what? You're now, what is it, the Omicron or whatever it is, the Ominominum. Um, it now has a new feature that it will allow you to create a simulated rock for you to be able to hide
Oh yeah.
under, a hologram. Or now you can use it to block the pulses from the mule's scanners. But it doesn't tell you how to do it. It doesn't have any instructions on how to do it in the tips. And in the tips sheet, it doesn't actually it shows you new tips that you've gotten by flagging them, but it is such a long tip sheet, it doesn't bring the new ones up to the
It's
top.
very
So you
very long.
have to scroll. It is long and it is badly organized, and you can't organize it. You can't change the sort feature, how it's sorted to the newest on top. Like there's one of the Nick's sneezing fits are epic.
Whew, okay.
So one of the things about the uh, 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 the game is that you want to be building roads the entire way. And I have been endeavoring, because you have said that it's kind of an important thing to build the roads as you go along. I have
Mhm.
been endeavoring to build roads, but it's very difficult because they take a lot of materials, and you have to kind of run around and gather materials from other places, bring it to them. It's not always easy to bring it because there's rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
It just becomes, everything is difficult sometimes.
Yeah. And
And
you don't need to worry about the roads like right away. Um, once you improve your relationship with people, the amount of resources they can hold increases, and especially once you reach other outposts, like other bridges outposts, they are usually stocked with a resource you need. Like uh, I remember the elder always had metal that I would use for bridges. Um, Same with the oh fuck, the engineer. I think the engineer and the elder had a shit ton of metal that I would just, strip them dry to build bridges.
Actually, something that I've been finding very helpful is mule camps. They are normally stocked with metals and
Yeah, that too.
ceramics and
That too.
resins. And then also with trucks. Before you actually get them in game, you get trucks from them. You can steal a truck from them. And that's very helpful as long as you can get the truck to the place that you need to deposit the materials in order to be able to build it. Sometimes you can't get that there with a truck because of rocks or the terrain. But the um what was I talking about? Oh, one of the things that the game says is gives a little flag like, hey, you can mark things to other players to let them know, hey, I need to share. And that every level you get more abilities to be able to lay these things down. Nowhere can I have looked so much in that game, cannot figure out how to flag those things for other players to contribute material.
I think that's
I
just.
still have yet to figure out how to put up one of those little stakes, those little banners.
Oh, yeah, I never did that. I did it. I got to that menu once, and then I forgot how to do it.
Exactly. And it is not fucking easy to find. And the game doesn't have it in their tip sheet. So their tip sheet is hard to use. It's impossible to sort to make it easy to use. It is long as fuck. And it doesn't have all the information you need on how to use
Mhm.
stuff. It's not actually tips. It's just telling you, hey, you can do this, but you actually have to go online somewhere and do a search to find out from a Reddit file of how to do it because other people have asked that question.
The one thing I'd
It's
say to that is
infuriating.
most of that isn't necessary. Like I didn't use I never put posts down. I never had people contribute to my constructions. I just built them all myself. Um, and I never. What was the other thing? I never used the hide has a rock. Like I know how to do that. I did use the ping feature though.
Oh yeah, that ping feature is nice.
Did you figure out how it works?
Yeah, you have to ping your Oda Kirk or whatever it is, uh, to at the same time that it pings, and you get like a little
Yeah,
pre-ping to
it's
let
not.
you
It's
know
not
it's
so much the
coming,
same
and then
time.
it comes.
It's like once you enter enemy territory, you have to past this sort of a barrier, and when you do that, the enemy radar will ping, and that sort of goes out has this orange burst that goes out across the screen. When you see that orange burst go out, that's when you like wait, like count to 3 and then do your ping. Because when that orange ping comes back and hits you, that's when it gives you a location. So you want to send
Oh,
out your ping as that orange ping is coming back so they hit each other.
okay. I just ping, hit my Oda Kirk constantly. As soon as I see that first ping, I just go, R1,
That's
R1, 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 R1 until I get the little notification that the ping was blocked. So yeah, I've been doing that. Hematic grenades are super important. I just got the BT gun
mm,
last night, so I
didn't
will
use
look
that
forward
much
to that.
either.
I use the grenades constantly.
Yeah, they're super helpful.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, I'm very much finding it. Before I didn't find it relaxing because I had no clue what was going on and I felt kind of lost. Now I'm actually finding it rather relaxing.
Hmm.
That the BTs don't scare me quite so much now that I have the grenades. Um, and I find the fact that you're carrying weight on your back mildly annoying, but I'm getting used to it.
Okay, in the chat, AC Wraith says to request donations, open the map, hover over a foundation or structure that you want them to contribute to.
Yeah, and then I got all the way to that. Oh wait, Nick, you're talking. You're not. I can't hear your audio. You muted yourself. Your showing is muted. I see it. Their mic isn't connected. It's showing your mic not connected, dude.
Yeah, I know. It does that occasionally. I don't know
Okay.
why. Okay. But yeah.
So you hover over, how very typical. You go to the map, you hover over the foundation or the item that you want contributed to, and then your mic died. So what do you do after that?
Oh, and then you press triangle.
Ah,
That's what he says in the chat.
okay.
So it
All
seems
right.
like that was the important point.
Okay. Yep. So you do request upgrade option triangle
Yeah.
button.
It's
All
one of
right.
those
Yes,
games
I'm gonna do
where
that.
every button has like 20 different purposes depending on what
Depending
menu
on,
you're
it's all
in.
contextual. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a. I'm now that I'm deep. Much farther into it. I'm finding the stories far more interesting. I'm finding the people that I'm encountering much more interesting. I uh, get what's going on. I'm just last night got where I looked in a mirror in my private chamber and something happened in the mirror and I'm curious to know what that means. It adds a whole other level to the story. But yeah, I'm liking it a lot. It is now hit the level where as I'm talking to you and watching the video on the YouTube stream, that I want to play this even as we're talking.
Good. I'm glad.
Yep. So yeah, that's Death Stranding for me. I'm sorry I've been playing it for 3 weeks. It is that kind of game.
I played it for a very long time.
Yeah.
So
But you played a lot of other things too to make the show, the podcast.
Did I? I remember I tried.
Yeah, it's really hard not to because it is that kind of immersive game.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I've been playing a variety of things this week.
Yeah.
I will say I've continued with that Final Fantasy Tactics Brave Exvius. What I'm enjoying about that, and I've said before, like I think the tactics part of the game is very good, but I'm really enjoying the character management because if this were a typical RPG, the path you have to take to level up a character is insanely overly complicated and bad, but it's kind of par for the course for a free-to-play game because all of those resources are tied to microtransactions. So you could, it's designed as a typical shortcut pack, right? And this is what I'm enjoying about it. It doesn't feel like it is unnaturally pushing me to buy stuff. It feels like it's still filled with microtransactions, but there has shortcuts. Like, do I want to level up a character from 0 to 80 in a day? Or do I want to spend a month playing it and leveling him up the slow way? In the same way that, like with Battlefield, the Call of Duty, do I want to level up the character to 80, in a day by buying some experience pack? Or do I want to just play the game for a month and level them that way? And that's what it feels like. I've been playing this for 2 weeks, and it is a heavily free-to-play game, but I've never actually felt like it's pushing me towards those microtransactions in like an absurd way, which is good because for the first time this week, I actually looked into the real money store to see like, okay, if I am gonna, I want to give you $5-10. I've been playing this a lot. What can I get for $5 to $10? Turns out there's not much.
Mm-hmm.
But if I want to spend $40, I could get a lot. And if I want to spend $80, oh, we have 6 different monthly packs that refresh for $80 each. And I'm looking at that just thinking, I don't understand who spends that kind of money on a game, on games per month. I buy a lot of games. I just bought a lot of games on PSN. I bought more Final Fantasy games. But the idea of buying like 6 different resource packs that are each $80 and to do that each month, it requires a level of financial investment in a single game that just blows me away. Like that right there is almost like a year's worth of like World of Warcraft subscription right there. I don't know what whales they are courting with these like super expensive packs, but
Yeah.
uh,
There are people that do it.
there
I mean,
must be
I absolutely saw that with the
the Game of Thrones one.
Game of Thrones game. I absolutely saw people that had to have spent thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it it blows me away. Like I'm enjoying this, and I think it's a well designed game. I'm actually really enjoying the story now more too. Like it's getting twisty and interesting as characters switch sides. Um, and I haven't felt the need to spend money, which is good because if I wanted to spend a couple bucks, I couldn't. It's like it feels like it's designed. The microtransactions, at least, are designed so that you're either a whale or you're just not paying.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, I wanted to like throw $10 at it because I'm enjoying it, but I kind of don't get shit for $10.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing is that's how these things work. Is that you're like, I want to throw $10 at you, so you throw $10 at it, right? And you get so little, and it's like, oh, I thought I would get more for my $10. Maybe I'll spend 20. Maybe I'll spend 40.
see, that
Maybe I'll
seems
spend
that
50.
seems that seems backwards to me. Like give enough for $10 that people are incentivized to spend another $10 and then another.
It's it's
Just
it's a
enough.
reverse
Just
incentivization, and that's exactly
yeah.
what it does.
Like I incentivize me to spend the money and then feel like I got just enough so that when I hit any sort of wall, I'm like, you know,
No, it's the
I
drug dealer
could.
mentality. They're not going to give you enough
Yeah.
drugs for you to get crazy high. They're going to give you enough drugs to make you go, man, if I had just spent a little bit more, I would absolutely get exactly as high as I want to be. I
Well,
would
okay.
get that rush.
So okay, let me
But
give
I
you
can
this.
see where that rush is going, and I want more.
But okay, I'll give you an example of like why I feel it's insanely overpriced. Um, you get this resource called Visor, and you can get that by playing the game and doing your daily login and all that stuff. Visor is also the paid currency, but those separated. So like if you're in the shop, there are some things you can only buy with paid Visor, and some stuff you can buy with the free Visor. The gotcha packs, the random baseball card packs that you can buy to get new characters and new resources and things like that. They cost 2,000 Visor each. So for 2,000 Visor, I can roll the little slot machine and see, oh, what new characters am I going to get? 2,000 free Visor will get you that. 2,000 paid Visor will also get you that. The only difference is with the paid version, you're guaranteed like a ultra rare character. Whereas with the free Visor version, you're only guaranteed like the mega rare version, which is basically ultra rare is top, mega rare is second, super rare is third, and then like normal. So it's really the paid version is really just guaranteeing you an extra level of unit. Despite that, I've gotten like a bunch of those ultra rare units just using the free version. So that, I don't feel incentivized to pay extra money to get that free one, to get the paid one. So that's 2,000 Visor. That's like the default that you use for these card packs. I've looked in the store. 2,000 Visor is $40. That means this is every pull of this slot machine for a new character is $40. That's a fucking high roller slot machine.
Yeah.
Like if they had made that $5 or $10, I would understand because that's like, okay, $10 for a guaranteed ultra rare character. Fine. That's okay. That's just enough incentive that's like, well, okay, maybe I'll do this if I want that special character. $40 to pull that slot machine for the chance that all the characters I get, I already have?
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Remember when
fucking dollars.
Right. Remember when you first started playing this game and you're like, no, you don't have to really buy anything in order to truly enjoy this game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same way with the Game of Thrones game
No,
that I had.
still
That
feel
at the
that way.
beginning you can play and you can play, you can continue to play, but you hit a wall at a certain point in the game that you cannot progress. It's not something that happens early on in the game. It's once you've committed a lot of time into the game, that's when the it starts to slowly creep up on you that you realize, all right, I cannot go any farther without either. Well, it's just not possible. You cannot play enough hours in the day and still have a job and or go to the bathroom and or feed yourself in order to keep up with this game. And you're going to have to buy something in order to go further. That's the way Candy Crush worked. Candy Crush was a great game until you hit that wall and then you couldn't go any further.
Oh shit, hold on.
Stupid cat. So yeah, but that's what happened is that you couldn't go any further. Okay, go. And that's always the way these things have been. So you can't ever look at a game, especially a mobile game, that is has those kind of microtransactions from the first even 2 weeks of playing. It's like a month. You have to play it for a really long time. And that's how they get you, is that you've invested all of this time, put it all the way through, and then all of a sudden you are faced with the decision of whether to pay for it or to not pay for it. So Lala Dada in the chat room said, in Exvius, are there any plot references with the diaper cat? So, what else can we possibly talk about? Well, Nick is not here. Yeah, I'm very quickly getting to the point where if I see that it is one of those cash grab games, where you can buy packs of resources, and those packs of resources are priced anywhere near $100, the highest levels of packs, then I'm not playing them because I know that it is a hole that it's going to get to that point.
Yeah, it might. Like I'm still progressing at a solid rate. And maybe it's just me, but I figure by the time I hit that wall, I'll just kind of be done with the game already.
Right.
Final Fantasy Tactics, it's a different universe, different world. But and the reason why I might eventually drop Brave Exvius is because the real tactics game that I wanted on iOS is Final, which is what the remake of Final Fantasy Tactics is called. That is finally on sale on the App Store. But it's on sale. It was $7, so I totally picked that up, and I'm really excited to get back into that that thing. Deus Ex Go is free?
Yeah, AC Wraith says Deus Ex Go is currently free on Android right now.
Tactics on my phone to play. I picked up Final Fantasy VII, the remake, on PlayStation, and I did end up buying Final Fantasy 15, the MMO. I don't know when I'll get into it, if I'll wait for the summer or whatever, but I did pick that up because it was on sale.
I am with you on this. I am 100% in on this.
Okay, don't get ahead of yourself. Other Final Fantasies I need to play before I jump into that monster. But okay, what else have I been playing? I finally got back into and turns out he shit his diaper, so that's why I had to leave.
Okay.
It's fine. There's actually no poop anywhere. He's cleaning himself up.
All right. Good.
Yeah, I got back into
Kentucky Route Zero.
Yeah. Still an interesting game, but the interstitial. So the way that game is structured is it came out in 5 different episodes, but there were like increasingly number of years apart. Oh wait, yeah, 15. Final Fantasy 15 is the MMO. Corey Wallace reminded me.
No.
So Kentucky Route Zero, episodically, but there are increasing years in between episodes. So like there's 6 months between episode 1 and 2, a year between 2 and 3, 2 years between 3 and 4, up to like 7 years between 4
Oh,
and 5.
wow.
A helpline. The whole interstitial is you picking up a phone and listening to a helpline for the secret tourism of the Echo, which is this underground river.
Mhm.
And so it's like information about flora and fauna, press 2. If you're holding a snake, press 3. And so you press 3 and it's like, okay, why are you holding the snake? Is this part of an exchange? Is it your snake? Do you not remember why you have a snake? And so it progresses like that. And then if you go, you're looking for other places, because if you're just using the D-pad, up, down, left, right, it's super easy, right? Except
Right.
in this case, if I'm on number 1 and I hit down, it doesn't go to 4. Fuck. And the whole, like I'm on 9 and
Right.
but it's just the act of navigating that keypad.
By the way, I didn't. We also have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/GameHounds. Thank you very much to all our patrons. You are keeping this show going because, yeah, yeah. And I really, really, really appreciate this, particularly right now. I just found out that my new job pays so little that in order for me to keep it, I have to spend money. But I have to do it because I need the health care. Yay, America. So yeah, we're talking about Kentucky Route Zero. So
Yeah, that interstitial, the just basic functionality of a keypad, which seems like the easiest thing to do, was broken, which made that interstitial just a real painful slog to get through. But once I got back into the actual adventure game, it's a good game. It's still good. It's just about this guy trying to do this delivery and it getting increasingly surreal, where he starts above land, just trying to find a house, ends up getting sucked into this magical underground highway, and now I'm on this like magical underground river. And so it just kind of keeps escalating. It has a lot to say about like debt and indebtedness, what that means economically, socially, personally, to owe something to something large and faceless and kind of unknown, and just this kind of like unspeakable owe, and to always owe, and what that kind of means in for your personal life. And yeah, it's a good very quiet, very thoughtful, just slow paced, meditative game. But yeah, I'm good, and I'm finally getting to the part where I was years ago, and so thankfully I'll finally be able to end it.
good, good.
After 7 years of waiting for episode 5, I have finally replayed up to episode 4, so I'm about
Mhm.
to hit the new stuff.
And anything else you're playing?
Yes, another mobile game, but this one's also out for PC. It's just they also put it on mobile because everything goes there. It's a card game from
Oh,
the League of Legends guys that takes place
oh,
in the same universe.
oh.
No, it's like Hearthstone. It's
Uh,
called Legends of Runeterra. And it's, like I said, it's a competitive card game, kind of like Magic or Hearthstone. Uh, but I find it way, way more fun than either of those, just because Magic is so heavily focused on like using these cards as resources. Um, Thankfully, Hearthstone got rid of that by just giving you like mana points that accumulated each round to very simplify the resource use, and Runeterra takes that aspect of Hearthstone. So that's really nice. But then I feel like it takes the aspect from Magic that the cards are much more complicated. Like the cards do a lot more. So tactically, there's a lot going on, and the cards are like separated by regions. So like it's this big fantasy world that basically includes literally every fantasy trope you can. One region is like sword and sorcery fantasy, another region is steampunk fantasy, another region is like dark evil fantasy, another region is pirate fantasy, another region is Viking fantasy. So, you know, every conceivable fantasy trope is covered. But each of those regions gets their own deck. And when you're making a deck, you can use cards from two different regions. So you can kind of pick and choose, what regions you want. And each of them have very specific tendencies that are very interesting to play against. And what I like about this, which is just an aspect of being digital, is that there's a lot going on. Every time you play a card, it says like, "Oh, gives a unit tough." It's like, well, what the fuck does tough mean? If I just tap on that word, it will pop up a little thing that explains what the fuck tough means.
Oh,
And it
that's
does
kind of
that
nice.
for literally like every keyword in the game, every ability in the game. Uh, has that sort of hot link where it's like if it says it gives this unit X, I can just tap and see what's X. Like in this video, there are all these spells that say burst, fast, slow. Well, what does that mean? Can't block. What does that mean? Just hover over, just tap it, and you'll get a little explainer, meaning what this means specifically when this card can be played in the round.
That's really smart. I wish more games were like that. That you could
Yeah,
find the what things meant so much so intuitively.
yeah. And so that's what's made it really fun to get into, is because even though I went into this like literally not knowing jack shit about how to play the game, uh it's there's no real, well, there is a series of tutorials. But even just playing and just kind of seeing, okay, this does this, this does this, this does this. Um it's like, oh, this is cool. This is neat. And like if you have a card that's like, oh, summons another spiderling, if you tap that link, you'll get that other card. So you see all those stats of that other card and what it means exactly um, when you summon it. And so just over the course of playing for a couple rounds, I really got into it. I think there's a lot of interesting tactical thought that goes into it. A lot of nice swings between players. It it doesn't feel like they're all of course players you can go up against that like, oh, they just steamrolled me. But a lot of times what I've found, at least with the matchmaking, is that I'm up against a lot of people who are like me, who are sort of just learning it, and it feels like there's a lot of good back and forth. Well, one guy will have a good beginning and take off a lot of my health, and like I won't be doing good, but then once we get into the later rounds where I get stronger units, I start pounding him and hurting him. And so it all comes down to like the end when we each got 4 health left. And it's like, okay, this is anyone's game. Anyone can do this. And so, uh, yeah, it creates a lot of, there's a very good back and forth involved in it that I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it. Both those games are sort of keeping me entertained while I'm watching a lot of Black Sails.
Yeah.
Oh, BattleTech laws like that. Okay.
Yeah,
And
AC
yeah,
Ray
I
says HBS's BattleTech shows lore like that. You can check the hyperlinks in the dialogue.
and that's neat.
Yeah.
I like that's a good way to do it.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I want to get into Final Fantasy VII Remake this week. That's what
Yeah.
I'll be playing next.
Okay. So, shall we hit the news, sir? Sure. All right. Let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, news, and commentary of the week in gaming with Gamer Edie and Nick DiNicola. And our first item is I
Uh,
got stuff.
okay.
First off is that GDC's conference was set to happen in March and then it got postponed because of the pandemic. Uh, they said it was going to be postponed till August with the new moniker GDC Summer. And now they have changed it once again as this pandemic seems to be not going away and it's not resolving as other pandemics or other virus outbreaks have. It is going to be coming, not be an in-person event at all. It's going to be an all digital event. It's still going to be called GDC Summer, but it's all digital. And this was out of a blog post. The GDC organizers said, as so many game developers embrace remote working arrangements and online collaboration, we're inspired to adapt and deliver GDC in a digital format that will be available to everyone with an internet connection. So, bad news, not going to be in person. Networking is going to be very different, a lot less business in the Moscone Center, and a lot fewer drunk people throwing up on the streets of San Francisco. Or random encounters with people. But it is going to be available to everyone with an internet connection. So you too can attend GDC this year. The digital only event is going to happen August 4th through 6th, and GDC organizers are going to be sharing more information as it gets closer, and how to virtually attend at a later date. Apple and Microsoft also announced an online version of their developers conferences as well. Google canceled I/O entirely, and Facebook canceled all large events through June 2021. So for an entire year, there's no events with Facebook. So different companies are handling it differently. As far as I know, whatchamacallit, PAX West is still happening. We have not heard anything about that being
Yeah,
canceled.
it's
or
far enough
going
in the
digital.
distance.
It is, but at the same time, GDC Summer was in August.
There was a good Twitter thread where a guy was explaining, because I guess Dragon Con in Georgia is still on, and he was explaining like the tough spot that these cons find themselves in, which is that, they sign contracts for these locations over several years. And there are always clauses in them that allow them to get out of those contracts,
Right.
Without punishment.
Right.
But it usually
Force
requires,
majeure is what it's called, or
yes,
yeah,
um,
acts of God.
but it requires something to happen to force them to stop.
Right.
So like a stay-at-home order is an absolute thing that you can point to and go, look, we cannot actually hold this convention. We have to postpone it. The problem is that, if it's out in September, that's too far away for the force majeure clause to go. The stay-at-home order, like, it's just been extended to the end of May and not September. So, I think even if PAX wanted to pull out for this year, they would suffer all the punishment of breaking their contract because they cannot cite that force majeure clause. And like with the Dragon Con in Georgia, because Georgia is trying to open things back up, they cannot actually get out of doing it. Like, they're either forced to go forward or forced to back out and suffer all of the punishments of breaking their contract. So it makes sense that PAX would still be on because they kind of literally can't do anything else at this point.
Yeah, I'm anticipating that it's going to be canceled. Even though I booked a room just in case, because I don't want to be left out. I am going to assume that it is going to be canceled. And even if it isn't canceled, I think that there will be a significant reduction in the amount of people that are interested in going, even if it's held. Because something that I've been following is that the vast majority of people that in repeated polls have been in support of these stay-at-home orders and want them to go on as long as necessary. And despite all the protesting that you see, and especially all the news reports you're seeing on protesting, polls by everybody, I mean, not just one poll, all of them are saying something like 70%, between 70 and 90% of people are saying that they don't want these stay-at-home orders to end early. And they're not okay with things the way they are, but they would rather have the economy suffer than have people die. And I don't know, there's another aspect of the cancellation of these big conventions that is beyond the force majeure, is that especially things like Dragon Con, they have to weigh the being able to get out of this contract at the same time. If they hold a convention during a pandemic and someone gets sick and or dies from it, it's going to open them up to a lawsuit. I'm I'm wondering, it's like they're really between a rock and a hard place. That if they cancel, they're going to be on the hook for not for violating their contract with the convention centers. But at the same time, if they don't cancel, or if they don't cancel and they hold it, then they're opening themselves up to potential lawsuits from people who get sick and die. I
Yeah.
am really glad I am not in the convention business right now. It is a no-win situation.
And kind of related to that AC Wraith or
It was AC Wraith brought it up. The Jeff Keighley
yeah,
Summer Game Fest.
yeah, the Summer Game
Did you
Fest.
look it up?
Yeah, he is basically trying to create uh a digital convention over the course of several months. And
Yeah.
it's on like summergamesfest.com. Well, basically, you go to this website, summergamefest.com, and you'll kind of get a lot of those big announcements in between May and August. And so you can put in your email to
So I
basically
went to
get live.
summergamesfest.com to put it on the screen, and this is what I got.
Where did you go?
I went to summergamesfest.com, and that's what pulled up.
No, did you? Okay, Summer Game Fest or Summer Games Fest?
I said Summer Games Fest.
Summer Game Fest. Singular game.
Okay.
Wow. That should work. Did that one work?
That one did work.
It's so for the people just listening, it was just a picture of, what was it, nuggets and a hot dog?
Yeah, a giant picture of what was it, a hot dog with a hot dog in was it a taco shell?
Oh yeah, it wasn't a taco shell.
Let me see, hot
yeah.
dog in a taco shell,
Oh, with Cheeto
surrounded
balls.
by Cheeto balls on a plate, and it's just that picture.
That's Summer Games Fest. If you want the virtual convention, that's Summer Game Fest.
So, yeah, thanks for clarifying that for the podcast stream. Yes. So, Game Fest, singular.
And yeah, so that seems like a cool thing to do, and I figure that will be in the news more in the future once they start making announcements.
Yeah.
But actually, on the announcements, Microsoft has announced that on May 7th, they will be having an event to show off a bunch of Xbox Series X games.
Really?
Yep. So next Thursday at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, they'll be holding the first real showcase of next gen games.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to be good. We'll definitely have something to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm curious, in the chat room, our lovely friends there, if a game convention was open in September, and I mean, obviously this virus is still going to be around in September, would you go to a convention even if they were holding it? If you, like, say you had tickets, you had a room, you had everything, would you go, or are you at all concerned about going to games conventions or big events in September that haven't been canceled yet? I'm not going to lie, Nick, I'm a little concerned.
Fuck, I got the PAX plague the past 3 years I've gone there.
Yeah, but this
I've
is
come home sick.
I know, but this is different in that one there
No, what
are
I'm saying is
therapeutics.
it's
I
just
mean,
a
if you got sick from something at PAX previously and you got sick enough to go to the hospital, there were therapeutics and medicines that they could give you. With COVID, there are no medicines that they can give you that they know work. All you do is lie in a bed, they give you oxygen and steroids and hope you get better.
no, but
That's there's nothing out there right now.
what I'm saying is so far my batting average for PAX and sickness is 1,000. So the idea that, oh, I'll get sick, but now you can get even sicker. It's
Right.
like,
Now
well, shit. Now I can either lose or really lose. So,
right, right. So, do we think we're gonna go to PAX? Would you?
yeah, well,
Are
like I
you at
said,
all thinking about? Because I'm totally thinking about this. Because not only that, we could catch it, be completely asymptomatic, and give it to our parents.
oh
Our
yeah, totally.
You could give it to Caitlin, and Caitlin could get sick and die. Mine, I mean, Kevin has hypertension and diabetes. Now, granted, both of them are completely monitored, they're maintained, they're completely under control. It doesn't affect him. He's relatively young, and statistically, he won't die from it. I mean, if you look at the statistics, it's like people our age, yours and my age, Nick, are primarily the people that are testing positive, but it's people over the age of 70 that die. I mean,
Hmm.
like, you look at as I've been watching our numbers every single day for my daily show, for my neighborhood, and it's like, it's like you can see the infection rates, and it's like, okay, you got, 20 to age 21 to 60 is 65% of the new cases. But then you look at the deaths, and it's like no deaths all the way up until 50 or up until like 45, and then maybe 2 deaths out of 900 or 1,000 deaths in our county, or cases, like 2 deaths out of that. And then when you hit 61 through 80, it's like all of the deaths, almost all of the deaths, like 95% of the deaths are all people that are elderly. And it's like, so it's like, yeah, we could get sick, but we could spread it. And I think that's my biggest concern, is not necessarily getting sick and dying. It's getting sick, getting the virus,
Yeah.
and possibly getting very sick or very sick and not dying personally. But it's me dragging it back home into my neighborhood and then possibly killing somebody down the street.
Hmm. And yeah, that's entirely fair. Um, I'm not thinking about PAX at the moment. Like, it's kind of too far ahead in the future for me to
Mm-hmm.
really be concerned with at all.
Well, you have me to think about this stuff because that's what I do. I
True.
do
Well,
every year at this time as I
yeah,
start
yeah.
planning
Well,
for PAX.
yeah, you plan that, but also like I could look at plane. It's still too early to buy a plane ticket, right? Like
Right,
this is the point where, oh, you could buy a plane ticket, but there's every chance that they could just cancel that flight if it doesn't get enough. Like
right.
get me 2 to 3 months out when I would think about buying a plane ticket, and that's when like it'll become more of a reality of what to do, what to actually do with PAX.
Yeah, if you're listening to this afterwards on YouTube, put that answer in the chat. Would you go to a GameCon this year, even if it was being held? Assuming it was being held, you had a ticket, you had a hotel room, you could buy your ticket. You could afford it. We're not talking about the finances. We're talking about if everything was in place, all you had to do was go. Would you go to a GameCon this year?
Mhm.
I mean,
Sue
and we're
Bolton,
talking
which
about big
I
game cons, not like 20 people or 100 people. We're talking about the ones that attract 70,000 people.
I haven't seen her in the chat before. Maybe you have Sue Bolton says not until there's a vaccine because her partner lives in has scary stats and they live in a town full of old people.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and that
yeah,
also.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
just a
Like
very small sampling of our listenership says that people wouldn't go, even if it was being held.
yeah.
I definitely have my reservations.
And also, like, let's remember too, PAX is far enough away that like the industry itself doesn't know what to do about it. If it gets closer and Sony pulls out and Microsoft pulls out and all the other developers
Yeah,
start pulling out,
that's the other
then all of
aspect.
a sudden it's like, well, okay, why would I go?
Right.
So again, it's so far away that I feel like most of the world is like, let's see what happens in July. July is kind of like the June,
Yep.
July is kind of like the level of, you know, the
Put up or shut
groundhog.
up. Yep.
No, it's like the groundhog. You know, is he gonna pop out and is it gonna be 6 more weeks of winter, or
Is he
are
going to
we
see
gonna?
his
It's gonna be an early
COVID
summer.
shadow and then jump
Yeah,
back in? Yeah.
is the COVID gonna cast a shadow or not?
I think that we probably, if it does is held in September, we probably will not see any developers from Korea, from South Korea, anybody from South Korea,
Mm.
because South Korea got a handle on its plague. You know, they shut everyone down. They tested everybody in the country. They identified who has it and who doesn't. If you had it, you stayed inside until you were no longer infectious, and then you could come out and Korea got back up. But Korea had testing kits and they were organized and they did it. It's what we should have done. We wouldn't need to be shutting down for months at a time if we could get out enough testing kits and if that first round of testing kits hadn't been fucked up and broken. But if we could go out and get testing kits, test everybody, shut the whole country down for 2 weeks, test everyone in 2 weeks. If you didn't have the virus, you could go outside. If you did have the virus, you stayed inside, and then we'd be done. But we don't have, I mean, that's kind of the nice thing about Korea. It's small and not that many people compared to the United States. And the fact that Korea has gotten on top of its situation and has it completely under control tells me that they probably won't let people go to conventions in areas where COVID is not completely controlled at that level, because then you're just reinfecting the country.
Yeah.
It's like washing your hands, making sure your hands are clean, and then touching someone's, sticking your fingers up someone's nose and then putting it on your face again. I have not heard anything from Jaeger. Corey Wallace asks in the chat room, has anybody heard anything from Jaeger? Jaeger, if you're listening, either after the fact or before the fact, shout out to us. Send us an email or send us a Facebook. Actually, he doesn't do Facebook, as I recall. Send me a tweet, because I know you do Twitter. Send me a tweet, a private message on tweet, either to the GameHounds account or to my account. Let me know that you're alive. Because I believe he was up in the Washington, Oregon area, although he's not old, and not, as far as I know, in a skilled nursing facility, which is where they had their big outbreak. So, next item is
Well, I know one game that will probably be announced that whatever is being announced in all these places is the new Assassin's Creed game, which Ubisoft put out a trailer for, and that, like
what is
everyone
it called?
expected,
Assassin's Creed
Valhalla.
Valhalla. That's it.
So this is the Viking Assassin's Creed game, which, hey, cool. You know, it's good. I'm glad that with this new evolution of Assassin's Creed, like starting with, fuck, what was it? The last one was Odyssey, Origins. Starting from Origins, when they've kind of branched off into a different structure, they've been doing much more interesting locations. Like they've really gotten away from, Victorian Renaissance Europe, which has been great. So this one is Vikings, and I imagine once I start playing this, I'll probably want to start watching the Vikings TV show, just like watching Black Sails makes me want to go back and play Black Flag.
Oh, yeah?
Because that was such a good game.
It was a good game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this stupid, there we go.
The trailer?
The trailer
It's a good trailer. They always have good cinematic trailers.
Yep.
But
so how do we feel about Vikings?
Yeah, I'm all for Vikings. It's a little disappointing because it's still not fucking feudal Japan, which is like the location that literally every fan has been asking for, since the first game. Oh, let's do Japan. Let's get ninjas and
Right.
samurai. Still not, still nothing there. Um, but like I said, I'm glad that they're going for a very different
Have you
setting and
noticed
culture.
Vikings are kind of like the new hotness? It's like all of a sudden Norse mythology, but with the Vikings television show,
Well,
and then there's been.
Vikings television show has been going on for 5 years.
I know, that's what I mean. New
That's
hotness
not
in the
new
last 5 years.
hotness.
Well, I mean the last 5 years. I've just noticed that Vikings. Well, you have to remember when did they start this whole process of creating this game? Probably 5 years ago when
Mm,
Vikings came out.
sure.
It's not like this. They did this overnight. Um, Eric Baker says he's never played an Assassin's Creed game. I reckon. What would Nick? What would you recommend to him if you've never played an Assassin's Creed game? What game would you recommend he starts with? Because you played pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I still haven't played the last one, Odyssey, even though
I
I
haven't
got
either.
it for Christmas.
Oh,
I'd like to
really?
get to it sometime.
You really
Um,
should.
I would say Black Flag. Black Flag has a lot of the typical Assassin's Creed things to do. It has a lot of the frustrating sneaky not sneaky missions where like you're following a guy and you have to stay within range to eavesdrop on him and then hide when he turns around. There are a lot of those, but like those aren't too bad in the grand scheme of the game, and it has the sailing mechanic, which is honestly kind of one of the best
Mm-hmm.
extra things that the game has ever added to itself, and
Yeah,
that
it was
that
when
really
when
sets it
when Assassin's
itself.
Creed came out. Pirates were the new hotness, and there were a ton of pirates games. Now Vikings are the new hotness. And there's a
Hmm,
bunch of Viking stuff coming out. I'm just wondering
hmm.
what the maybe ninjas will be the next new hotness.
I hope. But yeah, I would say Black Flag, and then personally, I would say play Unity, because I think Unity just might be tied with Black Flag as the best in the series. A lot of people hated it because I guess it came out very buggy, but
Mm-hmm.
when I played it a week after release, I really didn't encounter any bugs. And I think what I enjoy about that game is the combat remains dangerous in a lot of the games from 2 and 3 and in most of the games you can take on like 10 people at a time and they all come at you one at a time, uh, and you can kill them and counter them and mess them up and kill 10 people in a single fight. With Unity, the combat is much more purposeful. Um, and if you get surrounded by 5 guys, they can wreck your day. Like they can just slaughter you.
Oh yes.
And so that made combat a lot more exciting, and that made it feel more dangerous when I got into a fight. Not only that, I think it's probably the best story that they've ever done because it kind of reversed the power dynamics where now the assassins were in power, but the Templars weren't. And so I don't know how much that story will resonate with you if you're just playing it fresh, but coming from like 4 games of, oh, Templars are the underdogs and they're fighting, the evil Templars are in power and the assassins are the underdogs trying to foment a revolution to take them down. Compare that with Unity, which is like assassins are in power and they're spending the whole game debating whether or not to get involved in the revolution because, oh fuck, we're finally in power and now the people want the revolution. Can we like not do that because we finally have power? And like it's a really good exploration of you know that nature of power and political power and how it can be used and wielded and lost, and like how it's very easy to be pro revolution when you're the underdog, but the moment you have the ear of the king, all of a sudden your revolutionary tendencies kind of fall by the wayside no matter what that king may be doing. And so I found it to be just a particularly good nuanced game about the nature of power. um, and I found the gameplay to be the most fun, and I liked the characters. Um, so yeah, I think Unity is the best because of how it mixes and twists that typical story formula, But if you're going to get anything out of that twist, you should at least play one of the typical Assassin's Creed games. So Black Flag is probably the best. 2 and Brotherhood are kind of a pair that go together, and I would highly recommend playing those because both of those are really good. So yeah, Black Flag, 2 Brotherhood, Unity. I think those are what's really worth playing.
Oh, AC
And
Wraith brings up an interesting point. He says Vikings are a fascist dog whistle, as they all pretend to be of strong Nordic stock. Fortunately, Ubisoft has built up some credibility with its previous games. That's a very interesting take on this, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you, especially given the political world that we're living in right now, that maybe that's why Vikings are the new hotness after millennia. Them being around, all of a sudden now we're all interested in Valhalla. Huh.
maybe, yeah.
No, I never really thought about that, but it's an
I will
interesting
say
idea.
Ubisoft gets credit because, like, and I haven't played Odyssey, so I can't say for sure. And this was definitely lessened in Origins, but like Assassin's Creed is the absolute most progressive, like, wear its politics on its sleeve,
Right.
uh, game franchise in fucking big budget game franchise in history.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
is the game, and I fucking love this. This was from Brotherhood. When you went and did like some of the secret side quests to, you know, just when you did some of the secret side quests and you started finding out about the secret history of the world and the Templars and the Assassins and how that's bled into modern politics,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it basically accuses the Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts of being a secret Templar, and that the Citizens United decision was all a plot to give the Templar Abstergo Corporation more power over governments.
Interesting.
Basically, the entire Republican philosophy of giving corporations power is a ploy by Abstergo and Templars.
That is nuts. That's actually kind of awesome.
That's one of the reasons Brotherhood remains my favorite of the series is because it is very it's not explicit because a lot of this is hidden behind secret side quests, but when you look into those secret side quests, it really delves into the actual modern politics, like
Right.
of what's actually going on at that time and tying that into the fiction of the game, and it does so in a way I thought was really fucking cool.
Yep.
So
Corey Wallace says they need to bring back multiplayer. Yeah. I
yeah,
really, really enjoyed the multiplayer that I played with you, but
it
the
was
problem
fun.
was is that they didn't really support it enough, with enough maps and modes, and I had a great time with you a bunch of times playing multiplayer. They just didn't have enough modes. It's like they had an idea and they kind of let it die on the vine. But I think that in a way that they recognize that their bread and butter
I
is
think
single player,
I think
and
that
it
it
needs
just
to stay
was
that way.
it never took off to be as popular as they wanted it to be.
Right. It didn't get instant, love for it over the single player, and they're like, let's not wreck what we got going.
Yeah. Well, Corey Wallace said that he said something about like this is the last game to come out for a while in the Assassin's Creed franchise. They did slow down because like there was no game last year.
Yeah.
So they went from a yearly schedule to a bi-yearly schedule. And I think that's
Thank
what they meant by
goodness.
slowing down.
Yeah. Um, Lala Dada said she just turned on. I'm assuming it's a she. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Turned on not in TV and for Fox a little while ago, and a live NASCAR race was on. It took me a minute to realize it was some NASCAR racing event. The cars looked real.
Yeah.
Actually, they are holding. It may have very
Excuse
well
me.
been real. I know that NASCAR is opening up a racing series, the championship series, and holding them, I think, on weekends, races for the next several weeks. And they're going to be real cars, but no audience.
So I
So
remember
they're
I watched one of
working
those
on that.
NASCAR streams and it was neat.
Yeah.
Like I said, I enjoyed it because the drivers are much more aggressive than they would be in real life.
Exactly. I think that this might be changing NASCAR in a lot of ways. Corey Wallace says, didn't they say that this was the last game to come out for a long time? Not the game, just one of the previous AC games, yet still put it out a year in and year out. Is that the question you
Yeah,
just
that's what I
answered?
was
Yeah.
talking
Okay.
to. They're not doing it year in, year out. They're doing it by year in, year out.
Right.
So every 2 years. In theory, um, I think last year Watch Dogs was supposed to come out, but then that got delayed. So that kind of messed up the schedule.
Yeah. Lala Dada said, where is it? No. There's been MLB The Show tournaments as well. Corey Wallace says opening racing up 7 races in 11 days or something like that. Holy hell. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all going to be without audience, without spectators, which is going to be kind of interesting. Because, if you think about it from a racing, I don't know much about racing, but I can imagine that drivers need to race on a regular basis or their skills kind of,
And that's what the iRacing's for.
Yep. Well, iRacing and real racing, kind of different things. You really have. I can't imagine that iRacing would keep you at top performance status.
It's something better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, but I don't think that racers got to race. They just do. And iRacing can be found at iracing.com. So, all right, well, we've done that one to death. My next item is Evo Fighting Game Tournament, which is big fighting game tournament. It's been canceled. It was due to take place in late July in Las Vegas at the Mandalay Bay. Nope. Not going to happen. Their statement reads, due to COVID-19, we're sadly canceling Evo 2020 at Mandalay Bay and refunding all purchased tickets. But to keep the Evo spirit alive, we'll be bringing the event online this summer. More information coming soon. Health and well-being of our community is of highest priority. We hope everyone stays safe during this time. So yeah, this is kind of a big, huge, high-end, professional fighting game tournament, and it's gone the way. And that was set for July, late July. So I think you're kind of like with what you're saying about conventions. I think it's definitely the cases of probably the force majeures being able to be enacted.
Yeah.
Because if they're canceling in July and August, they're going to cancel in September if they can. Either that or they're hoping to be the one thing standing, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, they're the one thing that's gonna once the first convention of the open country, and it's like, oh, we're gonna reap all the benefits of that.
I don't think so, because there's enough people that don't want to go out. Just our small group was like, yeah, I don't know if I go. I'm not entirely sure I want to go. You're not entirely sure you want to go, especially PAX. Amazon has revealed its free PC games for Twitch Prime users for May. Obviously it's revealed. They're available now. They started becoming available on May 1st. It includes Snake Pass, the puzzle platformer, Urban Trial Playground, which is a stunt racing game, and a VC Invector, which is the rhythmic music game.
Snake Pass is super fun.
Is it?
It's really good. It's just a nice, simple. Well, no, it's not simple. That's the thing. Like it's a platformer unlike any other platformer I've played, because so much of it is about like figuring out how to wrap your snake around a thing to then stretch out and grab a coin and then come back. And it's just, yeah, the physics of it are super cool.
So,
that actually reminds me of another game I played and fucking hated.
okay, so this is Snake Pass. So your point of Snake Pass is to be a snake, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And
And
it's like a platformer, like a Banjo Kazooie type thing, where you're just kind of going around collecting different collectibles
uh-huh.
in a level.
Yeah, it looks like it's a very nice game.
Yeah, it's very peaceful. It's very, like, I don't want to say chill because sometimes wrapping yourself around a pole, hovering over a void, and trying to reach a coin can be really intense. But when you just treat it as like there's no time limit. There aren't really any dangers that you have to, like, there's things that can hurt you, but they're all like obstacles that you just kind of get past. Yeah, it's just about maneuvering and exploring the world in this really unique physics-based way.
It's kind of cool.
Um, but speaking of platformers, I one thing that I forgot is I played a bit of Hollow Knight.
Oh,
After I beat, oh, did I say I beat the Surge? That's why I didn't play the Surge. I might have played a little
oh,
bit of it
okay.
this week, but then I finished it,
Uh-huh.
and that was still a cool game. I started playing Hollow Knight, uh, and I had played a little bit of it before, and so I tried to get back into it. And that is a game that I kind of hate, which is weird because I've heard so many people say good things about it, and I kind of despise it. Um, Sorry, excuse me. It is a platform Souls like, um, but I just hate the controls. Like, so much of what your movement feels so painfully slow and limited in what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you can't like in this guy's dodging all over the place. I played for a good 4 hours and I didn't have the dodge. And when I looked it up, the dodge is locked behind this boss that I just didn't care enough to play to even get to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this movement shit. Like, this is all stuff you unlock so late. Not even late, but even just after so many hours, it's movement that feels like it should have been in there by default instead of being locked behind some progression.
Got
Um,
it.
because just navigating the world is a goddamn pain in the ass. Uh, because it's like a Metroidvania game where you'll explore an area and then encounter a wall and be like, oh shit, I can't get past this wall. I need to get a power to get through it. And so then you go on to explore someplace else. But just getting from point A to point B is so difficult that, like, and you accumulate all this currency, and then I have nothing to spend it on, like literally nothing to spend it on. And I'm like, well, okay, what should I do with this currency? Should I save it? Well, in order to save it, I have to go to like this bank, which is in the middle of the world, that would take 30 minutes to get to just to bank it. And along that way, I could easily die and lose everything. And just the act of navigating the world was slow and tedious and frustrating. The act of fighting my move set felt so limited that it felt tedious and frustrating. And just the entire goddamn thing felt tedious and frustrating. And I got cats fighting on me. Um, yeah, fucking Hollow. People love this game. This game like is universal acclaim on Metacritic, and I
Mm-hmm.
cannot. God, I fucking hated it. I hated every second of playing it.
Okay, good to know.
God.
So, do you have any other news items?
Yes. So this is kind of just another uh unfortunate news thing for Stadia. Um, PUBG recently came out on Stadia, so hey, that's good. Con, it's apparently filled with bots. And not like bots as in people are cheating using bots, but bots as in they need to populate the world, and so they put in AI that is apparently dumb as bricks. So yeah,
Sorry.
it kind of sucks the fun out of the whole battle royale thing when you're just doing it against dumbass AI. There's an article in Oz Technica about a guy booting it up and trying to play it, and he describes this process of seeing a player in the distance, trying to shoot them, realizing, oh, I don't have any bullets, so he reloads, then aims, and then it's like, wait a minute, the bot's still just standing there, and it's like boom, 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 and pump bullets into it, and he still just stood there and died. And he's like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Another player won't just stand still as
Yeah.
they die.
So are
And
they just
so,
putting the bots in there to have it populated because not enough people are playing it?
yes, that's what they
Oh.
speculate. Because I know they did that on Android too.
So it may be just a temporary thing until more people play.
Maybe, hopefully,
Or it will drive people away and they won't want to play it.
yeah, because it's not fun to
It's a
shoot
bit of a
against
gamble.
people that are standing still. If they improved the AI, then maybe it would be good. But
Yep.
so, yeah, another sucky thing for Stadia.
Yep.
Uh,
Anything
okay.
else?
Yeah, in nicer news, there is a free demo for Dreams available on the PSN store. Dreams was the new game by Media Molecule, who did Little Big Planet. This is their new game design software has game.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look up Dreams, you'll kind of see a whole bunch of user generated content of people making like shooters, platformers, musical games,
Mm-hmm.
fighting games, just all sorts of weird, cool stuff. Because that's
That
what the
sounds
game is
kind of
for.
cool.
Yeah. And so I don't know what's quite available in the demo, but it seems like, excuse me, if the demo just gives you access to some of that popular user generated content, it would be really neat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that might be something worth checking out.
Yeah, and it looks cute. I mean, it's definitely this is Dreams, right? We're looking at, Nick?
That's what it says in the
Description.
and there's a what's the thing when it's in the video? It's imprinted in the video.
Oh, yeah,
The
it is
overlay
the watermark.
watermark. Yeah, it says Dreams, but like Dreams can be literally anything. It
Yeah.
kind of depends on what the person who makes it wants it to be. And so in this
So it's
case,
a
it
little
looks
bit
like they
like
made
Little Big Planet, but it's not platform
yes, and
controlled.
it's from the same team that did Little
Oh,
Big Planet.
did you say that? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in this case, it looks like they made kind of an interesting adventure game about a guy on a train platform.
Yeah.
But the animation's really good, and so yeah, it seems like it'd be definitely worth checking out for free.
So yeah, AC Ray says he mods a Twitch channel of one of the developers of Dreams. That's
Oh,
kind of cool.
neat. Off.
So yeah, that's free available on the PSN store right now, which is kind of cool. Can't complain.
Hmm. Well, the game itself is not free. It's just a demo that's free.
Oh, the demo.
Yeah, but I imagine that
Why
demo.
wouldn't a demo be free?
Well, I imagine the demo just gives you access to play some of those things. You probably don't get the
Okay.
creation tools, but like honestly, for someone like me, that's kind of all I would do with it is just
Right.
play what other people have made.
You wouldn't be interested in making a game yourself.
Nah, that's way too much work. I don't want to be a game developer, man.
If I wanted to be a game developer, I'd be a fucking game developer.
I've spent enough time talking about games in the game industry to realize I never want to fucking do that shit.
No, that is not for me either. Because
That is
I just
hard ass work.
yep. And for a little love, because all you get the you put your blood, sweat, and tears into something, and then like 10% of the people say you're fantastic and they love it and you've changed their life, and the other 90% are like calling you, you know,
Oh, then
are threatening your life and doxing you.
then you get laid off a week before the game comes out, and your name won't be in the credits.
Yeah, exactly. So, thankless job, and they're doing God's work. If the people that do it, they have to be really called to it because it's not a lot of love and not a lot of money, and it's hard. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
sweatshop.
Props to all the game developers out there.
Yep. And you've got anything else? Because I am looking for more since
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance. So go ahead.
there's an interesting new Steam survey data that seems to kind of look into the impact of Half-Life Alyx on the VRs. And at least according to the Steam survey data, uh, at least 1 million additional connected headsets were established. Like the way it works is it kind of looks at VR connected headsets. Like how many Steam profiles have VR headsets connected to them?
Mm-hmm.
And that number uh, jumped by 1 million, about 1 million units, about 1 million accounts over the prior month. And so that seems to be the impact of Half-Life Alyx, that it at least got 1 million people, new VR users, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty impressive, especially for something that's kind of expensive.
Yeah, how expensive are they?
The VR units, at least $200.
Yeah, that's not a small amount.
Yeah.
But if you consider this, um, there is so much stuff that is not available that people would be buying. For example, things like the Switch, you can't find them. That any hardware developer that has a compelling enough game that people would want to jump in on, that actually has the hardware available, um, they've got a distinct advantage because people can actually buy it. I mean, if people go in looking for like want to try and get something that they're bored of everything they've got, they don't really want to do anything else, that they actually own and have some money to spend because they've got a stimulus check, they might very well go, I really want to Switch, but I can't find one for less than $400. So Half-Life Alyx is out there. For $200, I can actually buy a headset. It's
At that
cheaper.
price, it's a VR headset's cheaper than a Switch.
Right. It
Now,
is.
now granted, that's like the basic VR headset.
Hey, a basic VR headset is better right now than a basic Switch. And I
Yeah.
say this as someone who's been looking for a Switch desperately, but because they're being all bought by bots for scalpers on eBay who are doubling the price, I'm not going to do it because I am not going to encourage that. I would rather get out of gaming at this point. If I had no other option, I would get out of gaming rather than stay in gaming and buy a Switch from a scalper. I just can't do that because it's like feeding the trolls.
Oh yeah.
Can't do it. And the way that our economy is kind of fleshing out right now with stimulus checks coming out, people have money, a little more money than they were used to. If you didn't need the money to pay rent and buy food because you're out of work, then you had a little bit of discretionary income. And then meanwhile, the Switch production has slowed down from Japan and China because they can't get their economy, their manufacturing economy is all fucked up. So Switches through the end of the year are done, and with Xbox and the new Xbox and the new PlayStation, them releasing in December, but they're all going to be the production amounts that they're going to have are going to be limited because of the manufacturing slowdown. They're all going to be bought up by bots too, and all of these, it's just going to be scalper city, and I won't do it. I want those guys to choke on all the money they spend buying every Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. I want them to go broke. I want their children to go hungry. I want them to get the COVID virus and not be able to afford health care. I want them to die in painful ways. I want their lives to be ruined forever. Period.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
I want their grandparents to die of COVID.
But not them.
I want the whole families. I want their genetic line wiped off the face of the earth.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric Baker in the chat says that he was in a Walmart and saw that they actually had 4 Switch lights available.
Yeah, Switch lights are available all over the place. Which light is easy to find?
Is
That's
it?
not a problem. Yeah, it's easy to find a Switch Lite.
Hmm.
But I don't
It's
want a
just the
Switch
main
Lite.
one.
I want a Switch.
I did see there was a neat thing. I think it was on Reddit where a guy couldn't find the Switch, obviously, so he actually bought all of the components separately and built one
And built his own.
himself.
Yep. I'm 100% behind that.
Yeah,
I would do that before I would ever buy a Switch.
that was not something everyone can do, but just kind of a cool thing to see.
I would watch all the YouTube videos I need to. I would actually take a course in electrical engineering in order to build my own Switch before I bought a Switch from one of those guys.
Oh yeah, and actually, Lala Dada just reminded me that apparently there was a big Naughty Dog leak, and that a bunch of the story.
Actually reading that Naughty Dog has said that The Last of Us 2 Part 2 leaker is not affiliated with Naughty Dog according to Sony. This was a statement to Game Industry Biz. Sony confirmed that it has identified the primary culprits of the leak and they are not affiliated to either Sony or Naughty Dog. And
Okay,
the full statement that was supplied to the Hollywood Reporter, it reads SIE, which means Sony International Interactive Entertainment, I think,
I think
has
so. Yeah, yeah, Sonia. Yeah.
has identified the primary individuals responsible for the unauthorized leak of the Last of Us Last of Us 2 assets. They are not affiliated with Naughty Dog or SIE, and Sony is limiting any additional details, saying that the information is still important to an ongoing investigation.
So yeah, I'm trying to avoid that, which is fairly easy because I don't go on a lot of places and I don't have Twitter. So
Yeah. AC Wraith does say, indeed, be careful what you read about that game. Yeah, it's goes for everything right now in the news because everybody's home. You've got a million different places that are all vying for our attention, and we have way more attention to spend on things because we're all stuck at home on our internets. So there's a lot of fucking clickbait going on and a lot of bad information. And it's not just coming from scurrilous sources. It is coming from mainstream sources that are trying to compete against the clickbaity guys. So, yeah, take everything you read, and not just about the game industry. Take everything you read with a grain of salt. I mean, like all of these protests, protests. Oh my gosh, the people are protesting in front of the Capitol about the closure of the state and blah blah blah. And then you read a bunch of polls that say 90% of people are perfectly okay with that, but 1,000 people got together and protested. It's like if you're talking about 90% of a state not wanting to open and 1,000 people all show up and run around with flags and stupid signs that says COVID is no worse than the flu, they're the crackpots, and everybody else, I mean, giving them a platform and making it a big deal is kind of feeding the trolls too. The same way as buying a Switch off of eBay. So everything you read, don't trust it until you really research all the details of it. It behooves us to do it. Don't research that leak too far or you'll be spoiled. Oh, and
yeah,
this is the link.
don't put the link up.
Okay, I'm not putting the link up. I'm not putting the link up.
Don't encourage people to look.
Oh no, this is the Sony says who leaked the Last
Oh,
of
it
Us
says it
part
knows
two.
who leaked the
That
last
was
of
the
it.
actual
Okay.
saying of the link for Sony, but there is the link out there. There is the leak.
Oh yeah, you can find it if you look.
I'm assuming that what they have, if these guys aren't part of Naughty Dog and they're not part of Sony, I would
It could
venture
be like a
guess
third
that
party group.
it might be. Are we? How sure are we that this storyline leak is even accurate?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's possible too.
Making it up out of whole cloth.
Although I feel like if that was the case, they would say like this is not.
They would deny it.
Yeah, they would deny it.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Anything else you got? Anybody else want to talk about something in the chat room? We got time and
Yeah.
space. We are
Um,
here.
Gears Tactics came out in this past week,
Yes, it did.
which I found very interesting because it only came out on the PC. Whatever console version is coming way later.
Yes.
And apparently it's done very well. I've listened to a couple podcasts and people are praising it, saying it's actually a very good tactics game. They've actually enjoyed it more than the recent XCOM Lite game that came out. The
Mm-hmm.
like $20 or $40 Xbox XCOM game that came out on PC recently. Um, and it's only on PC, which sort of is suggesting that Microsoft is really trying to focus on PC gaming, and the PC has a viable gaming platform,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know, good on them. They do that every couple years, and it seems like right now they're really in the throes of focusing on that, which makes sense because at least in this past year, they have really focused
Oops.
on shifting Xbox to kind of a service brand more than a product brand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so to extend that service to PC, you know, only makes sense. Things like Game Pass on PC. Uh, I know they had another thing. Whatever their X Cloud is, like I'm sure that's another service that'll go to PC.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, services are the future,
Yeah.
and Microsoft is trying to get those services on every platform that they can.
Yep. I just wish they would not fuck with Skype anymore and make it bad. Skype. Oh God, Skype is so bad.
No,
God, they wrecked Skype. So I wish the guys that actually developed Skype would develop another one. Just make
I've
another
been
one because
I've been
it worked
using it.
so well when it was under them, and then they sold it to Microsoft, and then it was bad.
I think I started
Actually, they sold it
using
to
Skype.
eBay, and then they sold it to eBay sold it to Microsoft.
I haven't noticed any real difference in using it.
When you're using it for more than just calling into someone else, which is what
Yeah,
you were using it
that's all
for,
I'm
then
using
there's
it
no
for.
change. But when you're actually trying to use it from my point of view of actually being the host and then also using it as like a call-in number for a radio show,
Mm,
trying to set up voicemail, it's awful. It's awful what they've done to that. And Microsoft, of all companies, should be the ones that be fixing it. But oh well. Um, what else you got? Anything?
no,
We can stop
that's
now.
all I got.
So, how's everybody doing in the chat room? Is everyone? AC Ray says, "I totally want the new XCOM." In the chat room, he
He
is
actually
all about
said
the new XCOM.
yeah, he said Gears Tactics is okay but linear, and XCOM Chimera Squad is alien cops trying to manage a city.
Yep.
I know. I'm basing a lot of that off of the Waypoint podcast where um they were much higher on Gears Tactics than XCOM Chimera Squad.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess that's be the end of the show. I mean, we have been gone for 2 hours.
That's all I got.
That's all I got. So next week, what are you going to be playing? Anything interesting?
I'm hoping to spend most of my Sunday playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I have
Okay,
to
the remake.
which I have to specify because I currently own four different Final Fantasy games. And by the way, there's a a popular in Japan sale on PSN currently.
Right.
Basically, a bunch of Japanese games on sale, which includes all of the old fucking Final Fantasies. Final Fantasy 12, the original Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and I'm very tempted to get them. If only so that I have those games available to play in an easy way. Because I own all of those on PlayStation. I
Mm-hmm.
have the discs in my closet behind me.
But you can't get to the discs. They're in the closet behind you.
Well, not just that, I would need to hook up a PlayStation.
Oh,
And
that's
I don't even
right.
know if I can hook up a fucking PlayStation because the things in the back are different,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
PlayStation doesn't have HDMI.
Nope.
Um, so yeah, part of me is just like, do I really want to spend $50 for, weird archival purposes?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yep. Well,
And in the
Final
chat,
Fantasy 14, when you want to do that, especially if it's a weekend.
yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Yeah, and set it on your calendar. Don't make this like, next Christmas we do it. Let's do
Well,
this.
like I said, I don't know. Like it depends on what other things I play. But looking at the future calendar, there's not a whole lot coming out. So,
Yep.
that's
And there's
why
going to
I
be a
thought
whole lot less at the end of the year
that's why I
cuz
thought, okay, I'll jump into this.
yeah.
In
And
the in the
I want to play this with you so bad. I want to play with this with you so bad. And Chaos would definitely play it again to play with you,
Okay.
to walk you through it. Because it's been a long time since I played it. Um, yeah, I am absolutely wanting to do this.
Maybe I'll do it sooner rather than later then. At least let me get through
Yes,
7.
I will
7
let you get
remake.
through 7, and that gives me time to get through Death Stranding, and
Yeah.
then I will hold off of getting into anything serious until you're ready for 14, and then send me the text any day.
Okay.
It's like, just send me the text that says it's time,
Um
and I will be there.
in in the chat, Lala Dada asked if Final Fantasy Tactics Remake is an actual remake or just a port. Um it's kind of complicated. The Final Fantasy Tactics on mobile is subtitled War of the Lions, which is the subtitle that they gave the remake of Final Fantasy Tactics when it came out on PSP. So the original Final
Fucking
Fantasy,
Final Fantasy. I
so
fucking hate their naming conventions.
the original Final Fantasy Tactics came out on PlayStation 1, and it's a good game. The remake that came out on PSP is actually upgraded. Like it includes more jobs in the job system. It includes like newer cutscenes and all that. So it is a remake, but it was also a remake made for the PSP way back whenever the fucking PSP came out. So I only loaded it up just to look at it. Uh, that's just context so that when you open up Final Fantasy Tactics on mobile, it is still in the SD 4:3 aspect ratio. It's not actually in the HD 16:9 ratio. That's old school PSP.
There it is. Still got mine.
So I'm
And you can
not.
see you in a PSP. Look at that, Nick.
I can see me. So I'm pretty sure since the mobile version is called War of the Lions, that is the remake version. That is the one with the new jobs and new cutscenes, and so you can get that for PSP or mobile. Um, but it was also a remake that is at this point a decade old, so it's not really a modern remake. It's an old remake of an even older game,
Yeah.
which is funny because that's like the Resident Evil has been getting all these games remade. Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 3 remake, and it's like people asking, "Whoa, should I go and play Resident Evil 1 remake?" And it's like, well, okay, you can, but that's also a very different game because that remake is a decade old remake of an even decade older video game that is completely different from the
Right.
modern
You need to have a
remakes.
remake of the remake if you're really going to be truly
That's
appreciating it.
that's the crazy point that we're getting to in games. We're like now the remakes need
Yep.
remakes of their own. Fucking wild.
All right. So it is that time. Let's close this show down, sir, so I can go get something to eat and then finish up Death
Okay.
Stranding. Woohoo. All right.
Hey, go finish it. You'll finish it today. I believe in you.
You think so?
No,
Okay.
not
I was going to say,
not a
am I
chance.
that close to the end?
Not in the slightest.
All right. Okay. Good to know. All right. So let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 543. This was recorded. That doesn't seem right. I want to say it was 546. I could be wrong on this one. But it was recorded on May 3rd, 2020. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick Nicoli. Holy Goly may or may not come back. We don't know. But you can check him out on digital2dice.com. That is his current Digital to Dice video cast. Ways to get a hold of us: gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. You can watch us live doing this show on a couple of different places. First off, you can listen to us live on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com, every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11, 12, 1. Yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can also, at that same time, Wednesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, Sundays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can watch us on YouTube on the video cast that is sponsored by our patrons. Thank you very much. You make that possible. Our YouTube channel is GameHounds Vids, VIDS, is in videos. You can also watch us on Facebook. It is The GameHounds on Facebook. Everything we mentioned, no matter how obscure, has a link to it. Those links are provided by our link bitch, AC Wraith. AC Wraith, thank you for doing that once again on Spreaker, Facebook, and on YouTube. You're amazing. Also, our Facebook page is lovingly curated by our very own piss boy, Steve M. Hawk Ortegon, with all the news throughout the week that you might care about. It is a fantastic resource. Go like it, click it, and if you watch us on YouTube, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications to know when we go live. We would love that. Subscribers make us happy. If you listen to us after the fact on on iTunes or on iHeartRadio, please leave us feedback there or like us on that channel. We very much need to have more people liking us and finding us. It makes it easier for everyone to find us. Algorithms, people, algorithms. So go ahead and make sure that you show us love wherever you listen to us. And until next week, Nick, we will talk to you. Have a good week. And everyone in the chat room, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you then. Don't forget our Patreon, patreon.com/GameHounds. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye. All right, we are off the Spreaker stream. We are still live on YouTube.
Okay.
All right,
we ended just as my cat sat in the lap.
Oh, of course. Not how it always is.
Yep.
Now you can't move.
I know. Now I'm just gonna sit here and play Runeterra or Brave Exvius on my phone for 30 minutes or something.
You know, you really have to start putting these cats in their place, Nick.
By doing what?
By telling them that it's like the lap is mine, not yours.
Oh no, the lap is theirs.
You're such a sucker.
The lap is theirs. Shepard in particular, he's at night once the dogs are away, like he will obsessively try to get into my lap.
Oh,
Like he just wants to be there all the time. It's like, okay.
Poor guy. He did not sign up for being with a guy that lives with dogs.
No,
that was
but
not part of the plan.
But I will say, since we got Jupiter, he has got so much more confident.
Yeah.
He will come out and wander around the kitchen if the dogs are in the living room. And even when he gets cornered by one of the dogs, he won't like shrink into himself and hiss and meow. He just kind of gets irritated. Like, oh shit, there's a dog here and they got me.
That's good.
He's getting way better.
Good. All right. Well, I will talk to you next week. If not sooner, please feel free to send me the "it's time" message.
That's all it'll be. Just a text that says, "It's time.
The time is nigh." Yeah. Send me that message. I will absolutely be there. I mean, if I'm working, if you're sending it to me at noon on a Wednesday, chances are I'm not going to see you until 6 o'clock on a Wednesday if we're still in the same order. But yeah, I mean, it has to be off hours.
That's fine. I mean, I still got hours too.
Yep. All right. take care, everyone in the chat room. Be very, very, very safe. And if I can impart you one bit of COVID advice, and actually been doing a lot of research on this. If your state is requiring you to wear a face covering like a mask, a cloth mask, or a surgical mask, first off, surgical masks aren't that great. Cloth masks are better. N95s are best, but of course N95s really should be reserved for healthcare workers. But if you have a mask when you're out, regardless of what kind you're using, make sure to never touch the front, because actually the research has shown that because the whole point of the mask is not to keep you from getting COVID, it's to keep, if you're asymptomatic, from you giving COVID to somebody else. And they did research on people with masks and checking them against petri dishes, like to put the mask on somebody that they knew had COVID and checking the petri dish. The highest concentration, if you have COVID, is going to be on the outside of your mask. It is, your outside of your mask is going to be loaded with it. So you will see people touching things, and then they touch their mask and they move their mask down. Never touch the outside of your mask, because if you have COVID, like even to like adjust it or move it or, pinch the nose, or it's in your eyes or whatever, don't touch the outside of the mask, because you touch the outside of the mask to move it down or to move it off your nose and then move it back up, and then you touch something else, you have just totally infected whatever you just touched. So keep your hands, put the mask on, keep your masks away, your hands away from your masks. And when you go home, take your masks off and put them in a safe place. Treat them like biohazard. Put them in a plastic bag or something. Put them in a different room. Keep them outside, whatever you need to do. And then before you touch anything in your house, just consider your hands to be toxic waste. Head right to the sink and wash your hands for 20 seconds or more using the WHO technique. You can look it up on YouTube. But whatever you do, if you've touched your hands on the outside of your mask, you've loaded your hands with COVID if you've got it.
I've totally done that so many times.
I have too. I have done that at farmers markets, which is now, once I knew it, I started researching some of these studies and finding this shit, because it was like, why did they go from no masks to masks? And the reason why they said no mask was exactly that reason, is the outside of the mask are fucking loaded with COVID. And they didn't want people touching their masks and then touching other things. It was just too easy for you to make that mistake. And I have been at farmers markets where I have been touching my mask and then touching food. And that's weighing on me right now, really weighing on me, because I don't know. That's the thing. You don't know, I don't know. Unless you've been tested, nobody knows if they're COVID positive or not.
So let me know, like, if this is a common thing, because Caitlin got to go back to work a little bit,
right?
To do like adoption talks over the phone,
right? Because a ton of people are adopting right now. Holy shit!
But one of the things that she got is her boss actually gave her like a permission slip that she could show to cops, because I guess people are getting pulled over on the highway if they're driving around. And I've only been driving like Safeway and stuff, so I haven't encountered something like that. But is that a common thing?
I have not heard of people being pulled over, but I think it's a smart thing to do if you're in an essential business that's not like a supermarket, is to absolutely have a little card that says, yes, you are an employee at an essential business, and this is the essential business, and if you have any concerns, call me. It's a really smart thing for that boss to be doing.
Okay. Because I hadn't heard about
people
that.
Have been surprising. I'm not so worried about cops, because cops will pull you over and say, "Oh, okay, go ahead."
Yeah.
What I'm more concerned about is neighbors, because there have been 911 dispatchers that have been like confronted by neighbors about, why are you going out every day? We see you leaving, and having to say, "I'm a 911 dispatcher. I am an essential business. I am a frontline worker. You need to let me go." And like people just like losing their mind. I had to straighten out some people in town because they were upset because they were seeing people walking around without masks on, and explain that you don't have to wear a mask when you're walking around. You have to wear a mask when you come within 6 feet of people or when you go into businesses where you might encounter people.
Hmm.
But if you're out for a walk, you don't need to wear a mask. And people are like, they were like, oh my God. And it's like, no, 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 no. The rule is you can walk. Just if you come within 6 feet of people, you need to have that mask on you so that you can put it on to if you come within 6 feet of somebody or
Hmm.
come, close to 6 feet of somebody. And they were like, oh, okay. It's a little bit of people are scared.
Yeah.
And scared people do strange things. So it's a good thing for her to be Caitlin's boss to have done that. I wish more
Okay.
places would be that
Interesting.
good.
Good to know.
But if she gets pulled over, let me know. I'm dying to
Uh,
know.
I will. I will.
All right, so I gotta go eat. Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for joining us and sticking around as long as you did, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.